Hi students, it's Miss Jones here, and today I would like to talk with you about your Pinch Pot Monster project. This is the Explore Art assignment that we're going to be working on for the next few weeks, and I'm making these videos in case you wind up at home working on the project from home so that you can stay caught up and so that you can complete the project successfully. So here are some finished examples of what a pinch pot monster might look like. You can see these are pretty small. They're about the size of an orange or maybe a grapefruit, and they're glazed. So this process that we're doing is going to take about 4 weeks. Your project will get fired. Even if you are at home right now, I will still have you return the work to school as soon as it's ready to be fired, and we'll put it in the kiln for you, and then we'll talk about glazing when we cross that bridge. For now, we're more concerned with just building the actual form itself. So you can see they sometimes open with the mouth this way. Sometimes a pinch pot will be more of a gumdrop shape. You can see all of these are basically made from what looks like a bowl. And that's the pinch pot that we're going to be creating is like a bowl shape. But the way that you design your monster will be completely up to you. Another variation on the pinch pot is one that opens more like a cup. You can see this person actually put a little handle on so that they could use it like a cup. They even put some cute little feet on it. And then I even have some students who did like double-decker pinch pots where they stacked one pinch pot on top of the other and then added all these fun features to make it look more like a monster. So you have lots of different options here. I'm just going to show you the basic pinch pot today, and then I'll create a second video on decorating the pinch pot and adding different features. Yours does not have to look like mine, but there will be some basic requirements that are on the rubric. There will be specific criteria that you need to meet, so you'll want to read that rubric. It'll be posted in Canvas along with the directions for each step. So let's start with just the basic pinch pot and some of the things that we talked about in class. So I did pass out bags of clay in class, and you should have taken that home if you're working on this at home. You obviously can't build it if you don't have your clay. If you still need to come pick up clay for this project, please, please, please send me an email. Let me know what day your family plans to come by the school to pick it up, and I will make sure there's a box with the materials inside of it. The two things that I did pass out, like I said, were the clay and then a piece of canvas. It's roughly the size of a placemat, and that's your working surface. So you'll want to have that on your desk, and you'll work your clay on top of the canvas. Some other tools that you might want to have from home, which are really helpful in the building process, are a fork. In class, we'll be using a needle tool, but a fork is actually equally as good, if not even better in some cases. So a fork is a good hand building tool. You will also need a sponge. This is just like half of a sponge that I cut. I bought them at Trader Joe's. Any sponge will do. The smoother the better though. So if you can find one that's not got that rough scrubby edge on it, if it's just like a regular sponge, that will work best. And then you might want to have like a knife, a plastic cutlery knife for cutting pieces, and a spoon might be helpful. And then I have a little bowl of water here, and you will want to have water while you're working on your project. It's really important that you have all of those things. So we're going to start by talking about wedging. This is something that we did in class. There's also a video in Canvas on wedging and how to do it. It is really important that you wedge your clay. Let me get my clay out here so I'm not making all this noise with the bag. When your clay comes fresh from the clay getting place, It's not been wedged, and potentially it could have some air bubbles in it. And if you have air bubbles trapped inside of your clay can explode when it goes in the kiln because air expands when it gets hot, and if there's no place for it to go, you might wind up with a project that's blown up. Now, I've divvied out about a 2-pound piece of clay for every student. This is too much to work with all at once. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to tear your chunk of clay in half, just by twisting it, and then start working with one piece. Whenever you're not working with the other clay, the other piece of clay, you need to put it in a bag. So I'm not gonna use this one. I'm gonna hold on to this one. I'll make body parts out of this. So I'm gonna put that back in the bag and wrap it up nice and tight so it doesn't dry out. The whole time you're working on this project, you don't wanna let it dry out. If you do, you have to start over from the beginning, because once clay becomes bone dry, there's just no way to make it soft and flexible again. So any unused clay that you're not working with, put it back in the bag. Okay, so here we go. I'm just gonna show you wedging right now, and I'm gonna pull the screen down so you guys can see what I'm doing. One of the things that we talked about in class was creating a cube shape. So what I'm gonna do here, and in fact, I might do this on this other table so that the table's not shaking as I'm doing this. I'm going to tap the clay on all 6 sides. So I'm taking the clay and I'm literally tapping it on the table on all 6 sides to create more of a uniform cube. That's what you want to start with when you're wedging. Now, when we go to wedge, let's see if I can do this here on this table without it moving around too much. When you go to wedge, you want to be standing. So you can see that I am standing. Your table should be about waist height. And you're going to begin on one of the edges. So pick an edge where you want to start. And you're basically going to be kneading the clay. So you're going to be pressing down and forward. And you kind of make an indent like that in the beginning. From here, you're going to pull the clay back towards you. So rock it back towards your body. Press down and forward. Rock the clay back towards your body, down and forward. What you'll start to see is a little spiral start appearing on the side of the clay. You're basically rolling the clay in a circle. Now sometimes I'll turn it on its side and I'll wedge from the side if the clay starts to get too elongated. So I'm still pressing down and forward and then turning the clay towards my body, but then sometimes I need to change the direction a little bit. You might find that the clay starts to dry out when you're doing this. You might start to see it look a little bit cracked. This is where you could add a little bit of water if need be. So I'm just taking my sponge here and I'm adding water to the clay. Not a whole lot, just a little bit really goes a long way. And then I'm going to continue wedging. You want to wedge for about a minute or two. You don't want to wedge so much that the clay starts crumbling and falling apart. And if you do notice that, you'll want to add more water. So I'm still feeling, the clay's still feeling a little bit dry to me. So I'm just wringing out the sponge. There's very little water in the sponge. And I'm going to wedge a few more times here. Wedging just requires practice. You might not get it at first, it might not feel comfortable, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Okay? Once you've wedged about a dozen times, or at least for a minute, you'll want to put the shape of the clay back into a cube. like so. Now, we have to turn this cube into a sphere. That's going to be the next step, and I'm going to show that in the next video. So start by getting all of your tools out, practice wedging, and then recube, and then you'll be ready to watch the next video.